Oh, my heart hurts. It is hard to do these post games after a loss like this. This is Hanson James. This is the SLC Dunk post game show. The Utah Jazz collapsed in the third quarter and lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was listening to Bill Simmons yesterday, and he made a prediction, and I think it was a little prophetic. Although I think some of it is on the Jazz, obviously. Some of it is Russell Westbrook going crazy. But Bill Simmons made a little prediction. And this is not a Jazz fan. This is a guy who's talked a lot of smack about Karl Malone for 20 years. He said there is a chance in this game we see some fishy officiating. We see something fishy happen. Who was officiating this game? Who were the two officials in this game? Two of arguably the worst officials in the NBA. I'm going full on paranoia here. Full conspiracy theory. The NBA sent the two worst officials in the NBA to officiate this game. I want to give you some numbers. Rudy Gobert in this game, personal fouls, 5 personal fouls. They came very early. There was one foul he had where he didn't touch the player, but it was still a foul. Derrick Favors, 5 personal fouls, was not able to play the game. The Jazz had to sit because the Jazz tried to not play Derrick Favors too much. Derrick Favors wasn't able to close the game because of his minutes restriction, and plus he ended up having to play a lot of minutes because Rudy Gobert was out. Part of that's Rudy's got to be smart, but part of that is like you've got Ed Malloy and Kane Fitzgerald officiating this game. Oklahoma City. Let's look at the personal fouls. Steven Adams, 1 foul. He guarded Rudy Gobert and Derrick Favors the whole game. 1 foul. When does Rudy Gobert go out of the game? In the third quarter. When does Derrick Favors effectively have to back off because of 5 fouls? Third quarter. When does the run happen for Oklahoma City? The third quarter. This game was over when that happened. It was over because what happened is they know what happens when Rudy Gobert's in the game. Russell Westbrook can drive to the hoop at will. And what did he do? He drove to the hoop at will. And he got into a rhythm. And he hit shots. And everything collapsed. And when Rudy came back in the game, what's he supposed to do? What's he supposed to do? How do you play basketball when everything you do, when you're playing the game how you normally play, when you play with verticality, when you guard and you don't touch players and you get foul calls, how are you supposed to guard? I mean, you have to give credit to the Oklahoma City Thunder and you know, dad Twitter and dad whatever commenters are going to be, you know, super smart and say things like, well, no, the Jazz collapsed. Well, when your best player, most dominant player, the defensive player of the year who has shut off everything Oklahoma City wants to do is taken out of the game, both of them, you don't think that helps a team get a run? You don't think that affects the game? Personally, I feel like it affects the game. And this is the most I've ever talked about officials ever on this post-game show. But one thing I'm going to tell you, Kane Fitzgerald is the worst official in the NBA. Ed Malloy. He's like, if you've got one A worst, you've got one B, and it's Ed Malloy. And he finds a way to affect games in terrible ways. They make bad calls. I honestly, I'm not actually that worried about this loss. I mean, it sucks, and you hope that it doesn't get in their heads. It's not that they're not a better team. You just hope that it doesn't get in their heads that they can't play defense. This team is based on defense. Everything for the Jazz is geared around their defense. Everything. It creates transition. It allows them to get to the other end of the floor, and then they have efficient offense. But when you can't play defense because you're getting foul calls on everything you do, how do you play? If your identity is taken away, what makes you who you are is taken away, It's not that surprising. You do have to give credit to the Thunder. Paul George and Russell Westbrook hit shots. They hit the shots they needed to. They made threes. Russell Westbrook hit about 10 mid-range jumpers that did it. That absolutely did it. And there was a few plays at the end there where Donovan missed a shot. Rudy passes it to a corner three to Donovan instead of dunking the ball. But honestly, if Donovan makes the corner three, then it's a better play. He didn't make it. What are you going to do? Westbrook and the Thunder made every single shot, it seems like, at the end of the game. And it was over. Jeremy Laypath, blaming the refs is what OKC social media has been doing. Sad cop-out by you and others. Jeremy, are you familiar with Kane Fitzgerald and Ed Malloy? Are you familiar with Rudy Gobert? And have you learned of the difference between physicality and reality? If you're not fouling people, you shouldn't get foul calls. Do you think the run would have happened if Rudy Gobert was in the game? Jeremy, do you think the game would have been different if Rudy Gobert was in the game? What do you think? Did it affect the game? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit, Jeremy Laypath. Think about it. Adam Ray King. Quinn has to keep the Jazz from falling apart from this debacle. He has to concentrate on ending the lost. The Jazz still need just one more win. Yes, the Oklahoma City Thunder still have to win 2 more games. That means they have to beat the Jazz 3 in a row. The last time the Jazz have lost 2 games in a row is like pre-January. So this is tough for OKC. The Jazz just have to fight back. They have to fight back. And they will. They're a better team than Oklahoma City. They played a better game, and they were up by 25 and they were playing a better game. And in all honesty, they weren't playing particularly well. Donovan Mitchell wasn't able to hit shots. He just didn't have a great shooting night. And they still only lost by 8 points, and runs happen. But runs seem to happen when your best player gets taken out early. When you're only able to play Rudy Gobert, they were able to play 30 minutes, but part of that is he sat the whole third quarter when the run happened. And when Rudy Gobert was playing, the Jazz were winning. The Jazz gave up a 25-point lead, and Rudy Gobert was a +7. That affects the game. Now, if they lose the next game because the Oklahoma City Thunder hit shots and the Jazz don't find a way to win, then good for them. But the Jazz collapsed in the third quarter, and it was because they couldn't play defense on the inside. This is how they've won the series. And when that was taken away, the run happened. Tough loss for the Jazz. Big collapse. Very frustrating. The Jazz just couldn't. When Rudy was sitting, the Jazz needed to hit shots to just stem the tide, and they couldn't do it. They got a little bit of the yips. The crowd got to them. They're a young team too, and that happens with young teams. So it's also on the Jazz to make sure that when you're in that situation, you learn from it and you come back the next game. The Jazz will be fine. They will play the same defensive schemes that have stopped the Thunder. Like, people are talking about Carmelo Anthony playing, not playing, as if it didn't affect the game literally at all. What affected the game was Rudy Gobert went down. So Rudy's got to be smarter next game. He's got to be careful. He had some of those foul calls, yes, the foul call where the one where he didn't foul him, literally didn't touch him, was a frustrating foul call, but Rudy needs to not get the fouls earlier in the game. He's just got to play tighter, and he's got to play smarter. And so there's going to be times where he's just got to be like, you know what? I can't swing my arms when I've got an offensive rebound, because if Ed Malloy and Kane Fitzgerald are guarding, they're just, I don't know. But anyways, guys, thanks you for watching. I'm a little frustrated tonight. Watching the Jazz lose like that is difficult to do, and it's not fun to do these post games. But anyways, like and subscribe this video. Go to slcdunk.com and read all the articles. Go to slcdunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The Jazz better win on Friday, or I'm going to be so frustrated. I might die. I'm a little dead inside right now. I don't need to be triggered by you guys. You're triggering me. But anyways, thank you for watching, guys. I will talk to you later.